In today's video, we're going to be looking at the vintage figures and card backs that are still yet to be released in the modern vintage collection. Hey there Star Wars collectors, my name is Tim and welcome to another Bosk's Bounty video. This is the first in a new series of videos where I take a look at the gaps in the vintage collection. And in the first episode we're going to be concentrating on the figures that were released on the Star Wars cards back in the late 70s that we are still yet to see in the modern vintage collection. Since the return of the vintage collection, we have started to see some of those gaps being filled, especially with the characters from the Return of the Jedi, and some of the future figures being released this year will plug even more of those gaps. However, there is still a way to go until we get the entire run of the vintage figures, and it's those that we are going to be looking at in this video. Now before we look at the first figure, if you like this video, don't forget to drop a like down below, and also let me know which figure you are most looking forward to in the comments section below. Now with all that being said, let's get on to the first figure. First up is the Jawa. Now this is the last remaining figure we need to complete the original first 12 run. We did also need the classic R2-D2 card back, but as I'm sure you know, we are going to be getting that in the next wave. The Jawa card back is one most fans have been calling for, and the good news is with it being rumoured to be released later this year, it does actually seem that our calls have been answered. This is something I've covered in a few of my rumour videos recently, and again this hasn't officially been announced as of the time of recording this video, but it is a pretty strong rumour. We just need to wait to find out if they honour the original figure and give him a soft goods cape. Yes, I know there was a vinyl cape Jawa before anyone gets me in the comments. I guess what's more likely is that they repack the Black Series version. Now whether that'll be both of them is yet to be seen. Next up is Hammerhead. Now correct me if I am wrong, but wasn't the last time we got Hammerhead back in the Power of the Force 2 line? I'm talking about the actual Mos Eisley Cantina Hammerhead, not just some random Ithorian. I'm pretty sure that is the case, but I also seem to remember an Ithorian figure in the Saga collection that might have been Hammerhead. So do let me know in the comments below because I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, we need the original vintage card with the image of Hammerhead sitting there all moody in the corner of the cantina. No doubt they'll use the actual name on the name pill, which I believe is Moma Nadon. They seem to like giving every character a name these days, like they did with Walrus Man. To me, they'll always be Hammerhead and Walrus Man. Anyway, this is definitely a gap that needs to be filled. The next card back that is missing for the original Star Wars run is the Death Star Droid. Now I used to love this figure as a kid. I used to pretend he was like an evil C-3PO, but the card for this guy just screams Star Wars for me. I don't know, some of the card backs are just like that. It's a bit like the R5-D4 card back. It just screams Star Wars, screams original trilogy. Anyway, they could repack this figure that came in the special action figure 3-pack and plonk that on a vintage card and Bob's your uncle, gap filled. A nice easy one for them to do, and a big surprise it wasn't released in the first run of the vintage collection back in 2010. The next figure and card back is actually a figure from the same 3-pack as the Death Star Droid, and would therefore be another easy one for Hasbro to put out. It's the Power Droid, or Gonk Joy as some people call it. Another classic card back that is a glaring hole in the modern vintage collection. Now the only thing that I would ask is maybe repaint the one from the 3-pack to make him look a little more like the vintage version. The one in the 3-pack is like a grey colour, so even if the new one is perhaps a little more screen accurate. Next up is another one that could be a nice quick win for Hasbro, and that figure and card back is Snaggletooth. Again, they can take the figure from the special action figure 3-pack and plonk him straight on that vintage card. And again, this is another one that's a no-brainer for me. They have the card, they have the figure ready-made, so what are they waiting for? Another great card back that I want hanging on my wall. Come on Hasbro, give us the missing Star Wars card backs. So those are the missing Star Wars card backs, but we aren't quite done just yet. There are a few figures that have been released as part of the Vintage Original Trilogy Collection, or the VOTC, that although do have the correct card back, I do feel that the figure could do with a bit of an update. So we're talking about figures like Luke Skywalker, definitely a figure that could do with an update, get that face sculpt right and use the new Photo Real Tech 2. So they've got that new Luke Skywalker 3-pack coming out for San Diego Comic Con, and all 3 figures do have the new Photo Real technology. So again, you know, why not use it on the Farm Boy Luke Skywalker and re-release that figure. Same goes for Ben Kenobi, another great card back that could do with the figure being updated and re-released. And the same could be said for the Princess Leia as well. You know, such an iconic card back deserves an updated figure. And if they can get the face looking as good as some of the more recent Leia figures, then we're going to be in for a treat. Now I'm assuming that you guys watching know that we have recently had the definitive Stormtrooper on a Rogue One card, so why not re-release him in the future on a Star Wars chase card? I'm sure I'm not the only one thinking that this figure deserves to be on the original Star Wars card back at some point in the vintage collection in the future. And lastly, a figure that was part of the Vintage Saga collection, or VSC, and that's the Sand People figure, also known as the Tuscan Raider. Again, a great card back from the original vintage line, but the figure needs an update. I'm pretty sure the elbows swivel rather than having ball hinges, amongst other issues, and I do know he was available in the 3 3/4 inch Black Series line, you know, the ones with the red and black boxes, but I never opened mine at the time, so I'm not even sure if it's an updated figure or not. Maybe someone can let me know in the comment section below. If it is an updated figure, then again, it's an easy win for Hasbro. Simply repack on a great card and we'll all be very happy. So there you go. Obviously the card backs and the figure combos that we've never had before are obviously the most urgent ones that we need to fill the gaps. But there are figures that are getting on a bit now, ones that need an update, and you know, Hasbro could re-release those as part of the modern vintage collection. So be sure to keep an eye out for the next episode in the series, where I'll be going through the Empire Strikes Back gaps that still need filling in the vintage collection. Make sure to subscribe to be notified so you never miss a video. Please share this video on your preferred social platform, and once again, thank you all for watching. I really do appreciate it, and we shall see you on the next one.